Hell yeah, we got to make some changes, man. That was an ugly product we put out there today, and so we're not going to do the same things and hope for a different outcome. What those changes are, man, we'll put together a plan in preparation this week.
Want to give yourself a battle red pants tent? That was Mike Tomlin Sunday after the Steelers were demolished by your Houston Texans 30-6. At his press conference yesterday, Tomlin's going to make you even happier about the Texans who are riding high.
There were several things that were very disappointing about the game. I think chief among them was the fact that Houston, we thought, were more physical than us and played harder than us. And that's something that's got to change immediately. I felt that in stadium. I expressed that after the game.
They played tougher and more physically than the blue-collar Pittsburgh Steelers, Sean Mapes.
The only thing better would be if he would have been like, and they were really swarming all over the place, much more than we were swarming. Really have to tip your cap to what DeMeco Ryans is doing.
That word is something else. But hey, they are swarming. There was a play on Sunday where they truly did swarm to the ball carrier. I feel like I saw 7 guys make contact with the Steelers running back to stop him for no gain. Even funnier, as the Steelers, I think, have been completely broken by the Texans. Matt Canada, the offensive coordinator, under fire in Pittsburgh. He was discovered to have a burner account. This was found because somebody found the email address associated with his account, and it used his Steelers team email address. I don't know if it's been 100% confirmed, but a lot are speculating, much like Deshaun Watson had a burner a couple of weeks ago, that this is Matt Canada's burner. Matt Canada called 2 teams a juggernaut on this account. One of them, the San Francisco 49ers. That makes sense. They're 4-0. The other juggernaut, the Houston Texans. Let's go. Raise a banner. Ring of Honor, DeMeco Ryans. Hell yeah. I'm pumped, baby. Pumped so much that I am just going to shrug my shoulders at this most recent offensive line injury, because we can't go a day without a Texans offensive line injury. Kendrick Green, former Pittsburgh Steeler, suffered a torn meniscus. He's expected to be out indefinitely per sources. They traded for him to replace Kenyon Green. Kendrick started 3 games for the Texans. It is unbelievable how unlucky they have been with injuries on the offensive line. Since they have won the last 2 games, I doubt we will see as many people questioning the Houston Texans training staff. This is fluke stuff that happens over the course of an NFL season. It is unbelievably flukish, though, what's going on in that Texans offensive line room.
Yeah, the fact that all these injuries are concentrated one place, or a little bit was in the defensive backfield, and then it's everything else. It's the offensive line, and it's still an offensive line that hasn't given up a sack in the last 2 weeks.
It hasn't. It's make no sense. You would think that they would give up more. They've given up less. CJ Stroud deserves a lot of credit for that. But the offensive line and Bobby Slowick also deserve just as much credit for somehow making this work.
Yeah, I don't...
Giants gave up 11 sacks on Monday night.
Yeah.
And Daniel Jones, he holds onto the football a lot. He stares down his receivers. The Seahawks were sort of laughing about him after the game, about how easy he was to prepare for. Still, like, for a guy who was sacked 11 times the first 2 weeks, that we have seen this the last 2, given all the injuries, is nothing short of a miracle.
And that you think, at least for this week or maybe next week, they're going to be getting healthier. They're starting to get the tonsils and the Titus Howards back.
You would think. We'll see.
Although, yes.
I'm not holding my breath.
With Laramie Tunsil, until he's actually on the field, you don't really know if he's going to play. I feel like we thought he was going to play last week, and he didn't play. So.
We did. I'm just assuming they're not out there and that they're somehow going to find a way to make it work.
With the standings, we really don't care. It doesn't come to mind to me when you talk about the standings, right? It's just literally one game at a time, 1 week at a time, right? How are we improving throughout the week? That's our main focus, right? And the outcomes of where we'll end up, it'll take care of itself if we continue to focus on our preparation.
Oh, yeah. Give it to me, DeMeco. Give it to me. Give me that cliche about how the standings don't matter in October. Focused, baby. 1 week at a time. On a serious note.
I'd never heard that before. A coach is taking it. Wait, how many games at a time?
1 game at a time. 1 week at a time. Sean, we can't talk about the games before. The only game to talk about, it's the Atlanta Falcons on Sunday. That's all we can control. We can only control what's right in front of us. We're only focused on what's right in front of us. And the Atlanta Falcons, Desmond Ridder, he's a really good quarterback. Arthur Smith, really good head coach. Atlanta Falcons fans, really loyal fan base. None of those things are being said sarcastically. We respect our opponent. Isn't it kind of funny that when your head coach is doing well, and the team that he's coaching specifically is doing well, that a coach can say something that has absolutely zero substance behind it, your run-of-the-mill cliche, and you can be like, F yeah, they're focused. That is 100% what is happening right now with me and DeMeco Ryans. And I'll admit it, hearing DeMeco say, yeah, we're not focused on the division right now, that pumps me up. Yeah. It should not.
the same in some cases, literally the same exact words that he said during training camp that was putting us all to sleep. Now he says those same exact words, and we're like, whoa. Is this a secret to the Texans' rise to power? Rise to being tied for first and also last in the AFC South, which DeMeco Ryans is not aware of because he's not looking at the standings?
I think you're right. I think that's the way it is, Sean. Even further, the Texans pass rush was pretty good on Sunday, right? Jonathan Grenard had a couple of sacks. They knocked Kenny Pickett out of the game. They essentially forced the Steelers to quit with like 6 minutes left. This is DeMeco Ryans when asked about the Houston Texans pass rush.
With our pass rush, and we did a solid job this past week, but it's not where we want to be. We have to improve our pass rush and continue to get better at executing when it comes to our 4 guys rushing together. So we're not where we need to be there just yet, and we'll continue to coach them and get them better.
Let's go! Pass rush was good? No, it was solid. We can do better.
Yeah, gotta keep that carrot in front of these guys.
I'm so excited about this right now, Sean. I have a battle red pants tent, deep steel blue balls. I'm just ready to go because of this team and what they're doing.
That paints a very, very disgusting picture.
What? Well, I have.
You should go to a doctor if the Texans colorway is in your pants.
Listen, I'm sorry I wear colorful pants. A lot of people were criticizing the white pants that I wore, but I also have blue pants, and I have a bunch of deep steel blue colored Texans balls on my mantle at home. What, did you think I was talking about something else? The battle red pants tent that I got at Academy Sports and Outdoors. Every now and then I like to cosplay as a Seattleite. I might dress as one for Halloween. Did you think we were playing DeMeco Ryans audio for ratings, guys? Did you think that was what was going on? We're about to get into something else for ratings, but we do have a thought at 713-780-3776 on the most interactive sports talk show in Houston. H-Rockets is saying, stop talking about my pants tent. Well, yeah, you can make a tent out of pants. Sometimes you got to improvise. That's what MacGyver would do. Ryan's got a thought on the Texans. Ryan, what's up?
What's going on, Pop Stop?
Yo.
Hey, so I've been checked out of the Texans for a while, obviously.
You back?
And I'm wondering, can I buy back in?
Yes.
Should I buy back in, or should I wait for the label change? Yeah, I just want to know.
Buy back in. Buy back in now. The stock has probably increased a little bit too much over the last 2 weeks because the Steelers do kind of suck. The Jaguars are kind of overrated, but they're probably going to beat the Falcons on Sunday. And then after that, they play the New Orleans Saints. And the Saints defense is tough, but they should be 4-2 going into the bye week based off of where we stand right now. So buy back in. Why not? What's the worst that can happen? You're going to be let down by the Houston Texans? They've never done that before, ever. And I'm not going to act like Kendrick Green having a torn meniscus is moving the meter a lot as far as deep Texans conversation. It's more just a continuation of what's been unbelievably bad luck for the Texans on the offensive line from an injury perspective. Scott Questenberry, your center, he tears an ACL. Juice Scruggs, second-round pick center, dealing with a strained hamstring. Kenyon Green, out for the year with the shoulder injury. He's your first-round pick last year. Titus Howard, you gave the extension. He broke his hand. He has yet to play for the Texans this year. Laramie Tunsil suffered some sort of knee injury. He hasn't played for a couple of weeks. And it's getting so crazy that now the guys that you have traded for as replacements are getting hurt. Kendrick Green, who you got from Pittsburgh. Then at left tackle, I mean, my God, you were shifting back and forth between Austin Deculus and Jaron Christian. Was that injury related? At this point, I mean, you almost assume it was. And here's what's funny. A couple of weeks ago, before the 2 wins, and especially after C.J. Stroud had been sacked 11 times in the first 2 games of the year, I would have told you the Texans were screwed if they suffered another injury on the offensive line. Now, for some reason, I feel all right. Part of it has to do with the fact that C.J. Stroud hasn't been sacked in 2 weeks. But it's weird that he hasn't been sacked in 2 weeks. I assumed, just given the way that the offensive line is, and given the lack of sacks of C.J. Stroud, that Stroud is getting rid of the ball extremely quickly. There's NFL Next Gen stats. They actually have a time to throw statistic. Tua Tagovailoa is number 1 in the NFL, 2.37 seconds time to throw. Well, where does our good friend C.J. Stroud rank when it comes to that? Clearly, he's got to be up towards the top of the league, right? Now, he's not at the bottom. You ever feel a sneeze coming on? I feel like I have to sneeze right now. It's not coming out. Whatever. You guys don't care. Let me get back to C.J. Stroud. Stroud is in the bottom half of the league in terms of times to throw. At the absolute bottom, Zach Wilson, 3.11. Russell Wilson, 3.08. Justin Fields, 3.07. Deshaun Watson, 3.05. If you have a long time to throw, you're probably sucking it up a bit. And you would think that somebody like a C.J. Stroud, if he doesn't have that much time to throw, of course he's going to have to, by default, get the ball out a little bit more quickly unless he wants to get sacked all the time. But Stroud is actually like towards the back of the league when it comes to his time to throw. That means that he is holding onto the ball pretty long, and I think part of it just has to do with the poise that he has. And I know a lot of you guys are still pushing back on my very high praise for Stroud to this point, but I do think it's pretty telling how long he stands in there without panicking, without flinching, without throwing the football away, without turtling. This is the guy who actually is comfortable in the pocket and is accurate in the pocket. Hard to find guys like that. And I know that some of you, again, are like, well, it's the Texans. They'll screw it up. Well, it's an Ohio State quarterback. It's a limited sample size. It's the Steelers. It's the Jaguars. Look how he looked against the Ravens, the real good team of all the teams that they have played to this point in the year. Or maybe you're pointing at Indianapolis and saying, well, they're a little bit friskier than you would expect, but they're still the Colts, and they seem to do whatever they wanted against C.J. Stroud. Granted, all of those things. But what I'm telling you is that 2 weeks with more Texans offensive linemen getting hurt, I am now at the point where I'm not really that concerned about an offensive line that is legitimately in a hospital ward right now. It is its own hospital ward. Is that irrational thinking? Probably, much like me being excited hearing all of the cliches, coach speak coming out of DeMeco Ryans' mouth. It actually had, him saying, oh, well, we're not really concerned about the division. We're not concerned about our record. We're not concerned about the standings. That got me going. Kendrick Green being hurt doesn't really affect my morale as far as covering this Houston Texans team and wondering where they can actually end up going this year. It doesn't affect it. But we'll see what once again, they're going to have to shuffle the deck. I don't know what they do now. Do you have to make another trade? Caserio said multiple injuries ago that they already were just dealing with something from an offensive line perspective that they'd never dealt with before, like he's never seen before. And then more injuries happen. And yet I'm not freaking out about it.